Okay, here we go again. Feels like we're just going in circles at this point. But I want to say this clearly. You never really acknowledged where I was coming from. I didn't choose to be pulled into all of this the way I was. Still, I'm here. I'm listening, Janelle. It feels like you're trying to paint a picture that I didn't want to be around you, and that's just not true. I simply asked whether you still wanted to be in this marriage because honestly, I wasn't sure anymore. But let's be real. You asked me that same exact question not long ago. Hey everyone, it's Kody from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to the channel. We're just 10 days out from the second half of Sister Wives Season 18, and just to clarify, it's not a full 20 episode stretch. It's more like a continuation, with only 9 episodes total, 5 new ones, and 4 tell-alls. TLC actually dropped a press release about this. Not sure how I missed it, considering it wasn't posted on their main site or Warner Brothers. But it was released, and here's the most gripping part. It looks like the show will finally confront the heartbreaking loss of Garrison Brown. How they handle this is still a bit of a mystery. From what I've heard, some of the siblings are hesitant. There's tension about making his death part of the narrative. Garrison wasn't exactly a fan of the show, and some of his final messages reportedly included direct criticism sent to the producers. Whether or not they'll air that or tiptoe around it remains to be seen. The official synopsis, which came out March 20th, lays it out like this. Sister Wives returns with 5 all-new episodes as the Brown family navigates shifting relationships, new living situations, and deeply emotional moments. Then, in 4 one-on-one tell-alls, family members sit down with host Suki to revisit the year's challenges and some of the season's most pivotal scenes. Among the highlights, Christine and David finally open up about her painful history with polygamy. Janelle and her kids settle in North Carolina, looking to buy land and start over. Mary reflects on her distant, strained connection with Robin. The family gathers to celebrate Aurora's baptism, and Kody and Robin weigh the future of their polygamous lifestyle. But as the season progresses, a shadow falls over the story, the tragic passing of Garrison. It sounds like the family will take time to honor his memory, revisiting places of emotional significance and sharing cherished memories. After the episodes air, the 4-part one-on-ones will dive even deeper into each person's personal journey, examining growth, grief, and the evolving family dynamic. Now, one thing I find especially compelling is Christine's potential to finally address the darker side of polygamy. This could be the moment she breaks through the silence surrounding the trauma, the emotional programming, and the cost of staying silent. Just this week, I received an email from someone who escaped a polygamous group, sharing how they had to unravel years of mental conditioning. There's also been increasing advocacy behind the scenes. I recently heard from a group trying to push the FBI to seriously investigate what's happening to women and children in these sects. And here's the kicker. Sister Wives always comes up in these conversations. The show, in its attempt to appeal to a broader audience, arguably sanitized a deeply harmful system. By downplaying the role of faith and never directly addressing the abuse, it created a distorted, almost romanticized version of polygamy. Instead of giving context or showing the mechanisms of control, it focused on the women arguing over Kody, with no guiding voice to say, this is why it's happening. It was strategic, of course. No experts were allowed in, no therapy sessions that actually unpacked the belief system, no platform to say, there's another way. Even when therapy was included, it felt superficial, like a script that refused to deviate from the plan. And now, with the upcoming season, we're left wondering, will they finally go there? Will the truth start to surface? We'll find out soon enough. April 20th, 10 p.m. There's a chance now, maybe just a small one, for these women to begin working with therapists, to be offered a new way out. Because every time someone in that group wanted to step outside, to pursue something for themselves, like Mary wanting to go back to school, or others looking for work beyond the family, it was met with fear. Fear that the outside world would take her, that she'd be lost to them. They said they'd seen it happen. And yet, when someone did step out, like Mary with the catfishing incident, or her desire to go to school, it wasn't just discouraged, it was condemned, branded as wicked. Meanwhile, their own children were allowed to attend school. The double standard was glaring. That's where the contradiction, the internal conflict, begins to crack through the surface. So the question now becomes, is this the beginning of a deeper reckoning with polygamy's past? Will we begin to hear confessions of the mental programming, the control? Are they ready to admit that what we saw on the show wasn't the whole truth? That Christine, for example, was giving Kody the benefit of the doubt, cloaking him in charity, because that's what the doctrine told them to do. That protecting the priesthood authority embodied by Kody was a sacred duty. When you're taught that your only path to heaven depends on staying, on submitting, can that truly be called consent? Advocates say no. Because coercion, especially through religion, strips away the very essence of choice. And maybe, just maybe, there's a moment coming where they all realize this wasn't just a bad idea. This was harmful. Harmful to them, to their children, and to society. That in trying to normalize a deeply flawed system, they may have contributed to something far more damaging. Maybe now we can finally begin to rewrite the script. Then there's Christine and David. There's an unspoken weight between them, and a bigger one looming. The unspeakable history of Christine's grandfather, Rulon. No mention on the show that he was murdered. No mention that his killers were Erval le Baron's wives. That it was tied to blood atonement. That Erval believed he was the one true prophet. And those who left, apostates, had to be eliminated. That's never come up. Nor have the sexual abuse allegations against their leader, Lynn Thompson. Nor the financial fraud tied to Owen Allred. Or the other leaders imprisoned for crimes against their own families. Why? Why has that all been left unsaid? Will it ever be shown? Will the veil finally lift? We already know Janelle's path. She's bought land, she's working, and she's building Tata Farms. Whatever that might actually be. Details are scarce. Mary, meanwhile, is reflecting on her strained ties with Robin. Her story now seems to be one of unraveling, of waking up from a long manipulation, a quiet, painful awakening. The family is said to celebrate Aurora's baptism, but let's be honest, it's likely just Kody and Robin, not the family, not in the way the show tries to present it. Mary, Janelle, Christine, they weren't there. They weren't invited. Then there's Kody and Robin, still talking about the future of their polygamous relationship. Except there is no polygamy left, no other wives. Robin waffles between wanting the lifestyle and wanting guarantees. Guarantees that everything will go smoothly. But life doesn't work like that. Nothing is permanent. Not relationships, not families. Eventually everything falls away. And as the season winds down, just 5 episodes, we're told the family must face a tragic loss, Garrison's death. It's a moment that should unite them, but will it? Publicly, they'll come together, visit old places, share memories. But behind the scenes, the cracks remain. Yes, they gathered in Wyoming. Yes, all the wives were there. But from what we've heard, especially from Mykelti, there was tension, hurt, words said that can't be unsaid, and no, that probably won't make it into the show. What we'll get instead is a curated version, the highlight reel, the sanitized grief. But for those who've watched, maybe not as fans, but as witnesses, it raises deeper questions. Garrison had strong opinions about the show, about how it hurt his family, about his father, about Robin, and for some, it may feel wrong, deeply wrong, for those he was estranged from to now step into the spotlight of his memory. So where do we go from here? Maybe this is the beginning of something different. Or maybe it's just another illusion of resolution, another way to keep the truth from rising to the surface. We'll see. Most of his children had grown distant from him, and at the time of his passing, he and Garrison were estranged. What still stuns people is that when Kody was notified of Garrison's death, he didn't go to the scene. Let that sink in. What kind of father doesn't show up when his son dies? Not only did he not go, but according to Janelle, that distance between them wasn't just recent. It was documented. It was part of the official records. And then there's that final heartbreaking message Garrison sent, not to his father, but to producers and people he worked with, to Christine, Kody, others in the family. The message read something like, "I want to hate you for the good times, but I can't. I miss those days." There are siblings who have openly said they didn't want this covered in the show because of how deeply it hurt him. And honestly, I get conflicted when it comes to Garrison, because so much of his struggle seemed tangled in the pressure of this show. The fame, the attention, the way Kody handled it all, the control, the spotlight, and let's not sugarcoat it. Garrison seemed trapped. The season before his death, he appeared emotionally crushed, and many believe he was subjected to intense verbal abuse. Yet Kody, even now, hasn't really had that moment of reckoning, that come-to-Jesus moment, where he takes accountability for how he treated his son. Instead, when reflecting on it, he said he wishes Garrison was still around so they could share a laugh, grab a beer. The painful irony. The coroner confirmed Garrison's death was tied to alcohol poisoning. Both Christine and Janelle have admitted Garrison had problems with drinking. Janelle especially was trying to get him help before it was too late. So now, here we are. The show is choosing to cover it. And yes, some of you were furious at that idea early on. I remember. Some even stopped watching altogether. But now that it's actually happening, what do you think? Has enough time passed? Do you feel like maybe it should be addressed on camera? Or do you still believe there can be no justice for Garrison as long as Kody's story continues on this show? And on that note, what are your thoughts on the upcoming season? The next 5 episodes? There's a lot coming, and I'm curious where you stand now. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about it. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that bell so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching. Truly. Bye, guys.